the top Yu-Gi-Oh board breakers for the Cyberstorm Access format. My guy, Yu-Gi-Oh board breakers are even now more important than before because everybody's making a board you need to break. In this video, I will be talking about the most powerful board breakers in the game right now and rating every single one from the best to copium. And of course, in case you did not know, I have 5 different categories here, big dog. There's top board breakers. These are the best board breakers in the game, and you should consider playing these for every situation. Main deck worthy are actually some really good board breakers that you can main board and the meta. Situational be good sometimes, and then sometimes they be really depends on what situation you're in. Side deck worthy, these board breaker cards are extremely good in certain matchups. You should genuinely consider playing them in the sideboard. And then lastly, my guy, copium. So you're probably wondering, what is the criteria for this board breakers tier list? Well, there's actually quite a few powerful cards that a lot of players are using in this format post Cyberstorm Access, and this board breakers tier list is going to address a lot of the in boards you might see. We are currently in a heavy negation format, so expect to see a lot of Appaloosa Bull of the Goddess and Baron de Fleur, but then there's also a ton of other cards being played right now, like Borreload Savage Dragon, Therion King Regulus, and the new cards from Cyberstorm Access in Bestial Dispater. Dispeter. Bro, I can never get over that. It's Dispeter. As well as the new Chaos Angel monster, which is almost invincible at times. Of course, this tier list is going to give you guidance on what cards are extremely powerful against those particular cards, but as well as some other strategies that are in the game. We're going to go ahead and start off this tier list with Alpha Master of the Beast, which unfortunately or fortunately can summon itself to the side of the field as a 3000 attack monster, but unfortunately is a 3000 attack monster. My guy, I never thought in this day I would say that 3000 attack is not enough. In order to make Alpha Master of the Beast trade well against negation boards, you'd have to summon it and lose your battle phase alongside of the Alpha, as most monsters like Baron de Fleur and Borreload Savage Dragon are at least 3000 when in attack position. I would say that this is situational because it can allow you to be able to bounce some really good cards and summon itself as a bigger beater. Hypothetically, if your opponent is on like Jinzo or Spell Counselor, this card can attack over it, and then in your main phase 2, you can start breaking your opponent's board. Bro, it's so weird when 3000 attack is not enough. It kind of reminds me of that time when you're with your girl and it's like your first time and you show her what you got and she's like, that's not enough. You're like, yo! It's more than enough for me. On the flip side, since we are in a heavy negation format and most of these negate cards seem to be synchros, the next most played archetype or the next most played cards would be Exceeds right now with Kashtira running the game. Baguska is not a bad Yu-Gi-Oh card right now. This card can be used to buy you some time, switch all the monsters to defense, or eventually make Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. I think Zeus is an amazing top board breaker Yu-Gi-Oh card when combined with other cards. Since it's in the extra deck, it's extremely easy to make. So if you are playing an Exceed based deck, Zeus is almost a must. Now, cards like Book of Eclipse and Book of Moon have been really good in the Kashtira format, and we do expect Kashtira to be one of the better decks in the game, even despite the Forbidden List coming up. The only bad thing about this particular situation is that having your book cards negated doesn't trade you enough resources. I would say that these book cards are pretty good in the side deck. Maybe if you see a lot of Kashtira going around, this card can be really good. Or if you know you're going first, being able to flip your opponent's monsters face down to prevent them from synchro or Exceed summoning can also be fairly strong. Ironically enough, Book of Eclipse is actually pretty good against Baguska and Zeus. So there you have it. Change your heart or Mrs. Take Yo Bish. This card is situational. There is actually times where Change your Heart is a god card, like, yo! Take your opponent's Shangri-La after they activated its effect. Make a Kashtira Rice Heart and banish a card. Then make a Zeus. You cooking, dog. You cooking. I like this card that it's really searchable through cards like Triple Tactics Thrust. The bad side is that since we're in a heavy negation format, just activating this card almost guarantees a negation. The good side is that taking a card like Appaloosa Bull of the Goddess or trading with a Therion King Regulus is not terrible. So overall, just a situationally good Yu-Gi-Oh card. Cosmic Cyclone. There's an argument that this is really good against Runic, but if you're playing just for Runic, fortunately enough, there are a lot of other cards in the format that are also really good. I would say that this card is copium right now. There's not enough back row cards to justify playing this card in your main board or your side deck at this current situation. Maybe later in the format. Cyber Dragon, boys, you already know this is a top board breaker. My guy, you catch your opponent slipping, they summon that monster in the extra monster zone. Yeah, I'm definitely coping right here. Chimera Tech Mega Fleet and Chimera Tech Fortress are not terrible Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but that's all I'm gonna say. Darko is actually pretty good against Kashtira. You guys should know this. It's not only because it's good at clearing a Rise Heart, especially if they start playing Forbidden Lance a little bit less, but it's also good because a lot of Kashtira players have been citing Nightmare Corruptor Ibli, and this is not only an out to the Ibli lock, it also could be a potential out to their board. Overall, again, guys, negation format. This card trades like Change of Heart, except you're not going to be getting that much value for it. Dark Ruler No More, hands down, is the ultimate board-breaking Yu-Gi-Oh card. This card is cracked right now. It's a reason why Super Heavy Samurai players, a deck that is comprised of nothing but monsters, is playing Spell Canceller right now. My guy, they are really that down bad, but hey, it's because this card claps them. Dark Ruler should be henceforth known as Dank Ruler because even in matchups like Kashtira, you get to negate a Rise Heart so you can play Yu-Gi-Oh! Denko Seka, 100% a decent sideboard worthy Yu-Gi-Oh card. The reason why I like this particular card is because it's good against those back row heavy decks if you see them a lot, but if you don't, then if you're not playing it, you're still pretty good. Now, Dino Wrestler Pankratops actually has similar problems to Alpha Master of the Beast, but since it got that quickie effect on it, I would still say that it's situational. The problem with Pank is that literally it can't get over nothing except for like Spell Canceller and Jinzo. The good thing is that Panky Boy can actually address different cards on the field, not just monsters, and sometimes just monsters. Enemy controller right now in current Yu-Gi-Oh is 100% copium because tributing your monster to get negated is the biggest minus I've seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! Don't get me wrong, there's a couple of situations where this card could come up, like tributing an Ibli that your opponent gave you, or maybe if you're going first and you're trying to disrupt them, but more often than not, there are probably just slightly better cards that wouldn't cost you a -1 against a negation board. Evenly matched, my guys. This was a card that everyone played in the main board. Right now, sideboard worthy. So the biggest problem with evenly matched right now is that both Alpha Master Beast and Dino Wrestler Pankratops would be able to potentially destroy a monster by shading your battle phase. This does nothing except gets negated. So I really like Forbidden Chalice. I actually think it's a lot better than what people are giving it credit. Very situational Yu-Gi-Oh card. And the reason why I would say situational is because this card needs to be combined with another card to not only stop your opponent from negating your card, but it also does have the versatility of being able to increase the attack of your monsters, potentially even attack over a Chaos Angel, or even just negate a monster effect when you need it the most, as this card can be activated in any phase of the game. I would also say the exact same thing about Forbidden Droplet. The only problem with Droplet is that it will require so many resources, but the benefit of Droplet is that you can actually OTK your opponent as opposed to Dark Ruler No More. Harpy's Feather Duster, 100% a great sideboard worthy Yu-Gi-Oh card. Being able to obliterate your opponent's back row has never felt so good, especially since, you know, they don't see it coming. They never see it coming. They never see the duster. And Herald of the Abyss, I think that this card is really powerful until we get negation boards. The reason why is because Herald of the Abyss is great at being able to force your opponent to get rid of their cards as if you were Kaijuing them, but you could just Kaiju them right now. Hey True Nate would be the exact same spot as Harpy's Feather Duster. I don't think there's really much any more comments to these. I would play a conjunction of probably Harpy's Feather Duster and Hey True Nate if you really have to deal with background. Kaijus are actually main board worthy in this tier list right now. I think that they're extremely powerful, but to be honest with you, one better than Kaijus would be Santa Claus. Now there's a few reasons why Santa Claus is just extremely good. The first thing is that you can summon it despite your opponent summoning Testudo Iratnamen. Now I know that the card isn't played a lot, but I mean, if they play it, you got an out to it. The second thing is, unlike the Kaijus, which all require 2 tributes, you can tribute your opponent's Ibli that they've given to you for your Santa Claus and keep playing. The third thing is that Santa Claus does summon in defense, allowing you to be able to make a Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, and it is a level 6 monster that your opponent will have a hard time Exceed summoning with it, but they might not have a hard time Synchro summoning with it. So that's why I still have Kaijus as main board worthy. Oh yeah, you can also summon multiple Santa Clauses. Hey, tell your hoes that Christmas is coming and I got a present to put you back in the past. Kashtira Fenrir has actually been a problem Yu-Gi-Oh card. What's actually crazy is that Kashtira Fenrir is almost like a better Alpha Master of the Beast and Dino Wrestler Pankratops because negation decks have to respect this card. If they just negate the activation of Kashtira Fenrir and can't destroy it, then this card remains a threat to be able to potentially banish their cards. If they do activate another card effect while you have Kashtira Fenrir on the field, then you can potentially banish an opponent's card. Also, Kashtira Fenrir can fetch another copy of itself, so if your opponent does negate the activation of this card and get rid of it, you can just straight up summon the next one. It's actually like a really solid Yu-Gi-Oh card right now. Same thing with Kashtira, the Divine Carnate. If your deck can play through these disruptions, this card is absolutely insane. After your opponent use their negates, you summon Kashtira, and then you get one of their negates to your side of the field. Mad props if you got a card like Baron de Floor, because you can give it back to them to summon a monster from your graveyard and keep playing. This card's really, really good. Lava Golem's pretty good if you don't need your normal summon, but unfortunately most decks need their normal summon. Lightning Storm is Copium alongside Raigeki. I don't think that these cards are really powerful right now. Nibiru ironically has risen the ranks. I think you can main board Nibiru, which is really weird. The caveat is that you have to play a ton of hand traps alongside it too. If you can go Effect Veiler on the Baron de Floor alongside of a Nibiru, you could potentially win the game. Super Polymerization is mad copium right now. You're not fusing with anything, my guys. There's not enough monsters being summoned unless they go Appaloosa in Baron de Floor. There's a Super Poly target right there, but they're not that dumb, right? Right? Triple Tactics talent is 100% a main board worthy Yu-Gi-Oh card. This card is completely cracked. It's one of the best cards in the game. Even if your opponent is playing a multiple negation deck, oftentimes those decks are playing hand traps that you can take full advantage of with Triple Tactics talent, or you can actually force a situation where your opponent has to invest too many resources because of Triple Tactics talent and get ahead of the game. Twin Twisters is yeah, don't worry about that card. It's not good. Yo, I would actually say that Ultimate Slayer is like... Ultimate Slayer is a lot better than what people are giving it credit. Look, your opponent can't respond to Ultimate Slayer. This card might be main board worthy at the end of the day. My only beef with it is that your deck needs to not pretty much play an extra deck, and that's not always possible. You know what? I'm going to make the bold take and say if that's the only reason, I'm going to say Ultimate Slayer could be main board worthy. Oh my God, especially if you're sending cards like Elder Entity Intis. Then there's the the Exceed card, the one that can be sent to graveyard. Oh my God. Outside of Kashtira Rise Art, this card is literally a great board breaker Yu-Gi-Oh card right now. Sphere Mode is situational, and I would say it's situational just like Lava Golem. The reason why is because you never want to give your opponent a monster that you can't get over. You have to lose your normal summon and figure out a way to get over Sphere Mode. That can be really problematic. Underworld Goddess is probably your out-to Chaos Angel, guys. If you could fit it inside of your extra deck or a link-based deck, or you could just summon multiple monsters to your side of the field, consider playing this card. It's really, really good right now. And lastly is Exceed Encore, allowing you to be able to get over Exceed monsters. It's a good sideboard worthy Yu-Gi-Oh card. I mean, it can get over a lot of problematic threats. The only problem is it's only good against Exceeds. And that's pretty much all that I have for the Board Breakers tier list. Again, if you think that I put a particular card a little bit too low, a little bit too high, go ahead and let your boy know. But until then, you can always check out these videos, and I'll catch you on the next one.